Hi, my name's Brigita Ozolins, and in this second vlog, I'm not going to tell you anything about the work I'm making for Hobart Current, as it very much relies on the element of surprise. But what I do want to do is read something to you that relates to the work that I'm making. Now, you might recall that my project is about language and liberty and the extraordinary power of words to both allow us to express ourselves with incredible freedom, but at the same time, words and language can actually be used as an extraordinary tool of oppression and control. Now, one of the books I turned to when developing the ideas for my project was George Orwell's 1984. And if you're familiar with the book, you'll know that it's based on the idea of using language as a means for controlling society, indeed for controlling individual thought. The novel's set in Oceania, and the official language devised to meet the ideological needs of INGSOC, or English socialism, is called Newspeak. I'm going to read a paragraph from the appendix of 1984, which outlines the key aims of Newspeak. Now, while Orwell wrote 1984 over 70 years ago, in 1949, the book, I think, has an extraordinary contemporary relevance. See what you think. So the purpose of Newspeak was not only to provide a medium of expression for the worldview and mental habits proper to the devotees of INGSOC, but to make all other modes of thought impossible. It was intended that when Newspeak had been adopted once and for all, and Old Speak forgotten, a heretical thought, that is, a thought diverging from the principles of INGSOC, should be literally unthinkable, at least so far as thought is dependent on words. Its vocabulary was so constructed as to give exact and often very subtle expression to every meaning that a party member could properly wish to express, while excluding all other meanings and also the possibility of arriving at them by indirect methods. This was done partly by the invention of new words, but chiefly by eliminating undesirable words and by stripping such words as remained of unorthodox meanings, and so far as possible of all secondary meanings whatever. To give a single example, the word free still existed in Newspeak, but it could only be used in such statements as, "This dog is free from lice," or "This field is free from weeds." It could not be used in its old sense of politically free or intellectually free, since political and intellectual freedom no longer existed even as concepts, and were therefore of necessity nameless. Quite apart from the suppression of definitely heretical words, reduction of vocabulary was regarded as an end in itself, and no word that could be dispensed with was allowed to survive. Newspeak was designed not to extend but to diminish the range of thought, and this purpose was indirectly assisted by cutting the choice of words down to a minimum. So that's the end of that paragraph that I wanted to share with you from my very tatty old version of George Orwell's 1984. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it's made you think about the relationship between language and liberty and our society. Thank you.